Greetings and salutations, all you beautiful pixels out there, and welcome to another evening sailing the Maelstrom. That's right, I am pre-recorded as this is another Maelstrom Meets issue where I go around the world finding game developers who put their heart, love, and passion into every project they do. And today we're sitting down with a man who has that exact same mentality, the creator of Minds and Magic, Zolden from Zolden Games. How you doing today, my guy?
Hello. I'm doing great.
Speaking of great, Minds and Magic, I have been really addicted to it. But before we talk about it, let's take a look at that right now. Trailer looks amazing. I've truly enjoyed playing it. But just to start at the basics, what can you tell us about the plot of the game?
It's just a gameplay focused game, so there is no like fantasy story about some creatures going there and having some troubles like we see in Warcraft 3, for example. Actually, there is no issues in creating a story, a plot, some kind of adventures for the characters. But I was focusing extremely on the gameplay.
Okay.
So I think if you mean under the plot, you mean the story inside the game, there is none
Okay.
currently.
With no story and no narrative to drive the creation, how did you settle on orcs as units and the creatures that we fight up against, like the crystal wolves and the dragons and stuff?
It's actually the dirt, the random things that happen in game dev, especially with indie developers, because we have to rely on assets from Unity Store, for example. If I have some orc on sale, I just grab it and use it in any role as I want, as I need. So I found orc model, 3D model. I use orc. I found some elves, but I was trying to find the fantasy characters, not the
Okay.
tanks and robots. And they just look like. Uh, Actually, in the original game, the StarCraft 2, which I will mention today, my mod that I created and that became popular, there were some crystal or glass made units because StarCraft 2 editor uh, allowed to use this glassy material, or I created it, I don't remember, but it looked cool and so I used it.
With games like StarCraft and Warcraft being mentioned, was that the inspiration for the game?
Yeah, absolutely, because these games are very fun to play. I like strategies, I like games like Civilization, but real-time strategies add some action element in strategy, and it was very interesting. Also, the StarCraft and Warcraft opened the creativity for the indie developers by creating the editors that allowed to create the custom maps, the arcade modes for the games.
And when creating Minds and Magic, was it just you, or was there a further team?
It was always only myself, and it wasn't my choice, it was just the convenient thing to do. And I actually didn't need anyone else because, as the programmer, I was capable of gaining any kind of knowledge that I needed. And the UI, it's not rocket science. I could make some UI. It looked ugly at first, but then I think my colleague from my job helped me to improve the UI. Also, the assets like sound, some 3D models, it was taken from Asset Store, so I wouldn't have to create them. Even though at some point I learned how to use 3D program to create the 3D models and animate them, and it wasn't perfect, but it worked. So Minds and Magic was created by myself, but it's not. It was like first steps in the game development from nothing to the product. And on the scale of product, it's obvious that I need other people.
Mm-hmm. As a game developer, has early access on Steam been beneficial to the creation of Minds and Magic?
Yeah, because the players actually can surprise you with ideas that you wouldn't even think about. And I'm, as a developer, trying to make the game really good. And some things, some features that I didn't think of, the players have suggested, and they felt so obvious. So the feedback from the players was really helpful. Also, it actually makes you pay more attention to features, to new UI elements, to everything before actually patching the game. Because when you know that people are playing it and it's actually under their attention, you are trying to make it good, you are trying to remove all possible bugs. So it's like a additional challenge to create patches of the game that work just instantly. But the feedback was the main result of the early access. Without it, I would create different game, slightly different game.
Is there a plan for a full release date of when you will consider the game done?
The game is like 95% done on its basic plan, because the game was initially planned as a big campaign, single player, and some kind of multiplayer elements. But I don't know how much players will be playing the game. So currently it's only 1 against 1. And the StarCraft 2 version, the previous one, the mod in StarCraft 2 that Minds and Magic in Steam was based on, it's actually allows to play 4 against 4. So I plan after the release, which will happen in March 2024, I plan to add some more modes for the multiplayer. 2 against 2, 4 against 4, maybe some two players not against each other, but as a team against big waves, like single player but together, two people. I'm sure there will be plenty of feedback from the players, and I plan to implement their ideas, and they will probably want some hotkeys, they will probably want some different something, I don't know. But usually players are very creative in the way they want to see the game. I've been in contact with players since the first game, the StarCraft 2 mod, because usually I have some idea, and it's related to how the game should work, the mechanics, the design. And some players suggest an idea that I think is just wrong. And then I think about, and then I understand it's like as it should be. This idea is just perfect. Because I didn't think about it, I kind of filtered myself from this idea. But in the end, it was one of the key features of the game. So I expect some people to suggest something that will make me rethink some aspects of the game. And if this will happen, I will gladly implement these new features. But also it's just polishing. People will be facing some things that I didn't face during my test playing, and they will just report things that do not work as intended. So I will fix some bugs, some imperfectnesses, and this will take a few months as minimum.
So we've mentioned Minds and Magic, we've mentioned the StarCraft 2 mod. Was that your first jump into game creation, creating the StarCraft mod? Or was there games before that?
There have been some very simple games that I used OpenGL and C++. It was my experiments that wasn't aiming a release. I was just trying to do some funny things. I didn't feel as a professional game developer. It was just me trying different games to implement. It was really basic. But then, after I had discovered the StarCraft 2 editor, I really started creating games because it allowed very fast iteration through the prototype. And for example, my first game was created for only 2 weeks. I mean the game for StarCraft 2 arcade mode. And after 2 weeks, I had a game, I uploaded it, people started playing it, giving feedback, and it was a remake of an old strategy game. So this allowed me to feel how it actually perceived by the players, if they like it or not. And Minds and Magic wasn't my first game, it was maybe seventh. So I created 6 really big games in StarCraft 2, tried to present them to the players. They had different gameplays, and I wouldn't say they were really good. So people would play it a little and then just leave it. And only my 7th attempt to create a game that is interesting succeeded, and it became one of the most popular game on StarCraft 2 battle mode, Battle.net. I think it stays in the top 5 most played games for 8 years already.
Oh, nice. Congratulations.
Yeah, yeah, and that had inspired me to start creating the games for Steam in Unity, because I understood I maybe actually I can create some games and sell them. So yeah, I like believed in myself after the success of first Minds and Magic.
From the start of the StarCraft 2 mod to where we are today, what was your favorite aspect of the game to work on?
It feels like I'm really excited about physics simulations,
Okay.
because when you play the normal games where everything, the game object is scripted, it's pre-decided how it acts, and when you create some physics simulation, it's just naturally evolving through time, and players can use their real world experience to predict how the objects in the game will act. So it's like intuitive understanding of how the game works on its physics layer. I used GPU instead of the processor, the video card, that computes tens of thousands interacting particles, so it's a simulated world, and it was really exciting. Also AI.
What advice would you give to people who are aspiring to be a game developer like you, but don't know where to start or where to go?
I would suggest to make very simple games at start. Do not try to create a huge multiplayer, massive online game with robots and dinosaurs. It will exhaust you at first. It's better to start with really simple games that you will be able to start and finish within the scope of your curiosity about this game. Finishing your games is very important because it creates the positive feedback. You feel good because you finished something and you gained the experience and you gained the confidence to create something more sophisticated. Another thing, try to find the engine that works for you. Some people prefer Godot, some people, like myself, use Unity, some, by some reason, use Unreal. Each engine has some pros and cons, so try them all and try to pick the one that limits you the least. You want to create games with least resistance from the environment, from the tool that you're using. And probably, I think the most important advice is do not do something that you don't want anymore. I said try to start with simple games, because if you don't want to finish it, you'll just drop it and start another simple game. You have to be interested. You want to the passion. You want to really go to sleep and think about the game because it's something very interesting, more interesting than anything in your life. In this case, there are high chances you will succeed with game and the game development.
What has been your favorite community note to affect your creations?
After I had switched from StarCraft 2 to the Steam game, I kind of left the StarCraft 2 game without my attention, and a group of professional players approached me with their ideas to change the balance. And they actually took the map that I gave them and made all the edits, balanced the way they think is perfect, and uploaded it to the server. So they actually did a really important thing. They played the game a lot, generated the list of changes, the little balance changes that makes the game more interesting and balanced, and implemented it. It was really good to have these people around and to care about the game so much that they actually improved it.
One of the biggest things mentioned within the reviews and comments was a few balancing issues with there only being 4 different units. Are there plans to add more units to add to your armies?
Yeah, I think it was a review that appeared a couple of years ago, because since then I have added to the game 1 more builder, 4 more units, also the researchable units, also 4 of them, also their upgrades. So there are 24 units currently. Well, 12 base units and 24 if we include the upgrades. This is the situation right now, but I plan to add more builders because it was part of the fun of the StarCraft 2 game to try different strategies with different builders, and this is one of the things I plan to improve after the release.
You're very active when going through reviews. I've noticed a lot of them have actually been responded to by you over the years. Do you have a favorite review that just sticks out in your mind?
No, I don't remember anything that would be just so rememberable. How to say that? No, I don't remember something. I really sometimes I get angry when someone writes a negative review, but it feels like they didn't try to understand the game. They give up because they didn't learn everything about the game, and that was something they didn't like. And I get angry, but well, I just feel good when people enjoy the game. But all positive feedback, reviews, it's just a good thing to have. I like to read them, sometimes reread them to like feel good.
Your game has a 76% positive review rating on Steam. Has that influenced how you plan on creating and updating the game going further?
Yeah, so I really like to improve the game. So negative reviews for me is some kind of ways to understand how to improve the game. Sometimes people suggest ideas, and but in this case, in the case of this game, as I mentioned before, there was a like big pause when I didn't develop anything for like 3 years, and I think some people got disappointed that I abandoned the game. Yeah, so because I had this new job, I had to make this pause, but it's fixed. Like I keep updating the game, and soon it will be fully released with all the features that I wanted in the game. So part of these negative reviews are just about people being disappointed that they thought I abandoned the game. It's what we cannot avoid. So I kind of accept that this happens sometimes, and I have no issues with this. I understand that some people can be some kind of sad that this happens, but I think it's not a big deal. There is always a percent of people who act maybe kind of destructively, so they just do not believe in the game, and they have some negative emotions, and they try to express those emotions by leaving negative review and refining the game, but it's just small percent. Most of the people who they play fair. If they like the game, they just leave some positive review, and in majority it works like very good. I really like that Steam has this review system, and people are sincere usually. Good stuff.